Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Gaz Williams Show. Very, very pleased to be announcing the special guest tonight is a certain Chris Calcut, or otherwise known as Calc, who I'm sure many of you will be familiar with from his work with Novation. He's an expert musician, Calc. I think that's brilliant because when he demonstrates and when he introduces new products and stuff for Novation, which is where I'm sure many of you will have seen him, he brings a lot of enthusiasm but also musical knowledge into it too, which I think is super respectful, and he's a very popular character, so I'm really super pleased to have him joining us. He did actually perform live at our last Sonic State Live event a couple of years back, and it was a brilliant performance. It was so good. But anyway, he will be joining us in about half an hour or so. I've got a few, I hope they're treats for you before then. Let me show you what I've got in front of me, just to give you some idea of what kind of nonsense we're going to be getting up to this evening. Yes, ta-da! It is the Glockenspiel, yes. And and a glass of beer, I'm afraid. Yes, this is alcoholic beer. And it's nice and cold, so I probably should drink it before it gets warm. I have got this. Let's bring the other mic in. I haven't really spent a lot of time positioning the mics. Lewitt 340 mics. Now, the thing that makes this interesting is that those mics are going through this SSL mixer, and then are going routed through a couple of effects units here. We got the Eventide H9 and the Strymon Volante, which I'm kind of reviewing, so you'll see more of that one. Now, the Volante is a tape simulator. It calls itself a, let me see, magnetic echo machine, and essentially is a very authentic sounding tape echo, but with a load of interesting features. You'll have to stay tuned for that one because I'm going to do a review. Anyway, let's have a look at that view again. You may have noticed, what am I doing? Yep, the Geddy Lee preamp is now mounted in here now. Oh, this is great. So I can get in to my setup. That's the way in for my bass. It really lacked a premium way in, and I'm loving that Geddy Lee preamp. It is a lot of fun. Right, what am I talking about? Yeah, so these effects are going to process the Glockenspiel. Let's have a listen. Let's get a little bit more of this on. Can we hear that? Chair. Okay, so I'm gonna just that. I mean, I didn't. That's just the default sound. Let's let's have a look at what we're gonna do, because the Eventide can do some really bonkers pitch stuff. So I reckon that the combination of that going then into the tape echo from this should yield some interesting things. There's like kind of pitch sequences in the Eventide. I think those might be quite fun to play around with. Let's have a listen to this one. Oh, let me get that up. I'm just going to take the Volante out of it for now. Oh, that's a bit... What am I doing? I go through some patches here. So the H9, this pedal here, I can operate with the iPad here, which is quite nifty, because I can pick from lots and lots of different algorithms I was talking about this earlier. Hot saws. Actually, why don't we try hot saws? Oh, look at those glitches. Take my mic out. So the Volante. One of the nice things about the Volante is it's got a looper in there, but rather than it treating it just like a looper, well, it more or less is. It's just them trying to dress it up in the wording of the tape machines. But like, you know, so they call it splicing and rather than start and stop. But essentially, it has a looper built in. So you hold this button to turn the looper on. But it works in a slightly different way. And the tape does kind of erode away as you do more layers. So you can build up these kind of things. Let's have a go at one and see what happens. Half the speed of it now. Just make a really abrupt cut there. Yeah, it's really nice, isn't it? I mean, there's controls on the Volante that that you can control how much of that you want of the wear, but also mechanics as well. So if you change the mechanics, it sort of creates it to kind of have a bit of vibrato in a way, and just introduce kind of problems. But the problems are quite sweet. Actually, I'll do something now, and I'll crank the mechanics to the max. And I'll crank the wear to the max as well, because the wear is almost like how bright the tape is. Actually, no, maybe leave the wear. Let's keep it pristine tape on a really crummy machine. So the machines are going to be wobbling, but the tape will be clean. Speaking of tape, actually, it isn't just tape, because it says it's a magnetic echo machine. And there's 3 types of modes on there. One of them is like a drum mode. It's really interesting, because I think did it work like those wire, when you can record on wire? I think it works something like that, as opposed to it using tape. The other 2 are like tape. So then the tape mode in the middle is like a kind of, I guess, like a copycat or a space echo. And then the top mode is studio, which is the studio mode, I guess, is like their high quality mode. So I'll leave it in studio, but we'll mess with the mechanics. Let's turn the mechanics all the way up. And let's play something in this. Okay. Let's turn off these echoes. Yeah, so just sort of like you can hear there's a lot of randomness in the. It's quite nice, isn't it? I mean, it's quite an enchanting sort of attempt at simulating a bit of wrongness, you know. Because like a lot of the time when your gear goes a bit wrong, it's exactly what you don't want it to be doing. So good wrongness, right wrong. I guess that's what we're looking for. Right. How are we doing? It's let me think. Yes. So just in case you just joined us, Calc from Novation will be joining the show shortly in about 10 or 15 minutes. I do have a little musical nugget from my past that I'd like to play for you in a bit that I think will be quite fun. But in the meantime, though, I'm just going to play a little bit more with this, but bring in some of these weird eventide patches and see what we can do to the sound. Okay. So let's bring this in. Yeah. So, so yes, nightmare ambience. This is all about making nightmare ambience, which I feel inextricably drawn towards doing. But that the Volante, it does really give an old, decrepit sort of element to the sound, which is rather pleasing. Let's just go back into that a moment. Okay. Let's just I'm going to get something more overt with that tape delay. Sorry. So on this thing here, well, it's a bit too small to see on there, but these little LEDs, there's like 4 of them, 2 rows of 4, and they're the heads of the tape machine, so you can turn them off. So if you only have the rear ones on, that's just like a regular single echo, so you can have these little rhythms. If you press and hold one of them, well, it'll toggle from green to amber. Those amber ones are little accents, so you can make one head just pop up more than the others. Let's see what we can do with this then. Yeah. It's nice, isn't it? I mean, that's just the Volante and this Glockenspiel. But I mean, it's interesting to think that the way the Volante is designed to make it sound vintage, you know, and that by adding artifacts. I actually had the wear turned all the way down then, but the mechanics was about 10 o'clock. So, yeah, getting quite into it. I think it's a really good, really well executed simulation. There is a spring simulation on the end there as well. That's cool. One of the other cool things with that is that the 4 tape heads, you can actually pan them, you know, left and right, so you can put some stereo action in as well. And decent little tool. Right, let me get into the flow here. Hope everyone is okay. Soon the wonder that is Calc will be joining us. But I just got a little story I wanted to tell you about. So I mentioned about my band Rocket Gold Star, and really for a big part of my life, that band was everything. I just lived for it. It was everything to me, you know. And it's quite strange when I think about it, just because what an odd band it was. It is. I mean, it is an ongoing concern. It keeps on limping along. However, it's the beast that refuses to die. And it is a beast, because when it's when it's functioning, it's something that the 3 musicians in the band know that we're making something that's more than our individual selves. It's kind of it's something. I've been reminded, because I've been on this Rush trip for the past sort of month, or the past few months, kind of rediscovering my love of the Canadian power rock power trio Rush, and how that has profoundly influenced the way I thought that people wanted bands to be, which was just like a concentration of musicians who just do it all and they play it all, and it goes above and beyond normality, you know. Rush tried to become this thing with just the 3 of them, this multi-layered lot. You know, they were multitasking, playing keyboards with their feet. They got so good at being able to play along to just, if there were elements on their records that they couldn't perform live, they would just take a sample of that section, but it would be triggered. They absolutely wouldn't do it with a with a backing track, which is really interesting. Why they refuse to use backing tracks. And Neil Peart, the drummer, he was just so good at being in a very consistent time that they could trigger like sequences with musical notes, with rhythmical consequences, and be able to play straight into it. It's really interesting that they persevered with that, because people started using backing tracks to put all that stuff in, but they wanted to keep it so the essence of the performance was entirely live, triggering those things as and when. And all 3 band members would do that. So that kind of thinking had influenced me quite a lot. And I think with the band Rocket Gold Star, that's what we were kind of trying to do. We were multitasking quite a lot, doing, especially Frank, who's the guitarist and the keyboard player, and singer as well. And on a single song, he could be playing guitar. Well, he'd be chomping on guitar chords, playing a monosynth with his right hand, and singing at the same time. And doing wah-wah as well. I think I've caught him doing, that's right, chomping chords, playing monosynth, singing, and wahing the chomped chords he was doing with his left hand. So that sort of thing, kind of feeling that it was really important to do, whether people actually wanted that or not. And I sort of realised, people don't really kind of care about that sort of stuff anymore. I thought it was like really brave and daring, and it's much harder to do it that way than to fly in all the difficult bits on backing tracks. Yeah. Anyway, I digress. So I was talking about this band, Rocket Gold Star, and it's, to all intents and purposes, a Welsh band, although virtually everything that we did was in English. There was we did a few things in Welsh, and I wanted to play for you a song tonight with me singing in Welsh, and I think it would be quite an interesting thing for you to see if you've seen me around for a few years, because singing in Welsh isn't something I've done a lot of, but is really enjoyable. And Welsh as a language, because this song was written in Welsh. It was never an English song that I'm going to play for you. But this wonderful bloke called MC Mabon, he's a crazy, beautiful, odd, psychedelic Welsh poet. He helped me with the lyrics on this particular song. And it's called Sant Celwydda. And it's loosely sort of translates to saint of bullshit, saint of lies. And three-piece band, yeah, let's rock and roll. When the song finishes, I shall return with our illustrious guest. So we'll see you on the other side.